Good day, traders. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody doing? Please type a Y in the chat box that you can hear our voice and see the screen. That'd be great. Fantastic. Great. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Lots of familiar names in here. We're going to give everybody just a chance to log in and get their bearings before we kick this off. Exciting presentation today for you. Great. How many of you guys have been waiting anxiously for this event? I know that some of you are in the trade room with Jeffrey. And many days has he been talking about the release of the Algo IQ bars and the Algo IQ system and the stuff that he's been developing with his partners. I'm sure some of you have been excited to see this. I just love the signals. I think it's great. But I'll let you guys kind of answer how you guys are thinking and feeling. This is with bated breath. Yeah, exactly. Anxious to see this, Michael? Yeah, everybody is. It's an exciting system. It's an exciting strategy. It's an exciting combination of bars and just tools that just work and hit master trades, big trades. So I'm excited. In fact, every time I applied it on a market or any market, it was just banger trades. So it's just great. Type a Y that you can see the screen and you can hear our voice. I want to make sure we got a good connection here before we kick this off. Yes? Great. Great. Well, listen, I think we're pretty much ready to go here. I think we're at the top of the hour. Anybody that's late can join us in the replay. I would like to welcome everybody to today's presentation. My name is Sean Kozak. I'm the CEO at Tickblaze. And this is a unique presentation. Today, this is not like some of the webinars that we do in the marketplace. This is an actual partner event. As you know, we have vendor partners that Tickblaze works with when they build their strategies and their software into the platform. And when we have those vendors come in, we really like to show some love and do a big presentation, big webinar, give them a lot of attention with our community and our audience, especially when they have great strategies, great trading systems, indicators, and solutions for the people that trade with us. And this is kind of unique because Jeffrey, as you know, Jeffrey is our lead instructor for futures, and he runs our ATS program. He's been running our Tickblaze Academy trade room for years. And he's actually behind this. He's actually one of the partners, him and Steve, that have created Algo IQ. They've built a trading system behind proptradingindicators.com. And when I first seen this strategy, I was blown away by just the use of the tools, the custom bars, the solution behind the values of the bands, and just how they trade the strategy. And you're going to see firsthand today how to capture huge runs in the market by using custom tools and indicators that they've developed. And I'm just super excited to see it in Tickblaze, just super excited to see you guys trade with it. And I'm going to pass this over to Jeff. Just please note that if you have any questions, my team is here to help answer them in the chat box. And we've got some exciting launch discounts and some stuff to go over here at the end of the presentation. So just make sure that you guys stick around to the end. You're going to be in good shape when you do. So Jeff, welcome. Thanks for being here. Steve, welcome. Glad you guys could get this off and get this to market. It's great to see you guys here.
Sean, thank you so much. It is our absolute pleasure. And I can't tell you that for the last 2 years, being in the trade room with a lot of the members that are here, it has been such a pleasure. I was enthusiastic about Tickblaze when I started, and that has never waned. In fact, it has increased dramatically with every new release and every new indicator and algo that comes out. But one thing, and before actually I continue, let me just show the disclaimer. If you haven't had a chance to read through it yet, please take a moment or take a screenshot of it. Obviously, we cannot guarantee results. Everything that we discuss today is for informational and educational purposes only and is not meant to be investment or trading advice. So as we always do in these webinars, please type a yes if you agree and have read the disclaimer and you are ready to proceed. Thank you. So, as I was saying, when I started with Tickblaze going on a couple of years ago, actually, one of the first things that Sean asked me is there anything special that you use or that you know of that you'd like to bring to Tickblaze? And he'll remember I mentioned this system from the get-go. It is something that I have been familiar with because I have been working with the developer for several years. I'll give a little bit of history on that in a moment. And I was excited to try to bring it to Tickblaze. Tickblaze being new and not having the amount of programming availability as some of the other platforms, we had to be patient. But once we were able to finally code it into Tickblaze with the best programmer that is out there, thanks to Sean, it is absolutely one of the most useful and exciting tools that I have ever used. And all of the traders that know me know I like to keep things simple. I like to have a clear, easy visualization on the chart. It needs to make sense and it needs to be repeatable and consistent. So that's what I'm going to show you today. And very, very important, stick around to the end. In addition to the special launch pricing, I'm going to give away a license for a full version for free at the end. So let's go ahead and come in. Who are we? We are prop trading indicators. This is the first Tickblaze release for us. You can go to our website if you want to get some more information. But one of the most important things is this system and our other system that is going to be in development on Tickblaze soon was originally created by institutional trading system developers and started out on the MetaTrader platforms. For those of you that are familiar with Forex, and that's what I was trading when I first came across these early generation indicators, that's all that it was available for. But what we've done is we've been able to code this effectively, and in fact, on the Tickblaze platforms, it looks and works better than on any of the other platforms. We were able to code the Algo IQ momentum signal system. And then our follow-on product, once we are in the weeds with the programmer on that one, will be our next system, which is the pivot trading system. But today we're going to focus on the Algo IQ momentum signal trading system, okay? In a nutshell, it is going to show you where and how the institutions are placing their trades. We all know we want to be able to follow those big institutional runs up, and when they turn the market down or up in order to take advantage of what they did, okay? I call that movement parabolic price movement. I've been using that as a term and a way to watch the price trajectory. And just like whatever goes up must come down and vice versa, that's the way certain instruments move that have a lot of volatility and momentum behind them. One of the keys to our system and what is unique is that we have two price bars on every single Algo IQ chart. Our custom Renko bar, which you only have to put a single value in, the indicator calculates the offset and the reversal, and Heikin Ashi bars. The combination of those two bars simultaneously with the computations that are built into the indicator is what gives us our unique ability to predict the movement of price and when it is an appropriate time to get in for the reversal or pullbacks and continuations. The system is made up of an indicator, our Algo IQ bands, and the Algo IQ SuperBands, and then, of course, the momentum signal, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to go into a little bit of our most simple trading strategies. We'll cover the special launch pricing at the end, and of course, always take questions and answers. If there's something that you need to ask during the presentation, go ahead and put it in the chat box. Steve will keep an eye on that, and then we can absolutely answer you, or at the end as well, I'll be able to. All righty, so as I said, I first came to this system back in 2022. It was only available on MetaTrader. For those of you that have traded Forex, I started with MetaTrader 4. MetaTrader 5 was a bit of an improvement. These charts will look somewhat familiar to you, but that was all that was available, and I found them very useful, and my goal was to be able to see them on other platforms, and slowly but surely they started to migrate over. But in 2022 to 23, we had the beginning of the development of the bands and a separate momentum indicator that we were ultimately able to incorporate into the main indicator. So you can see over here on these early charts, we're getting the development of some bands, not at a glance clear at all where to trade. We were able to get it onto NinjaTrader, and then we started to make a little bit more sense of things. You can see these nice big movements, runs down and runs back up. Now the key was, how can I absolutely put an indicator to capture these momentum moves at the right time right into the main indicator? That's what we wanted to do. And once we got into Tickblaze, we were able to get it so clearly that I call these a simple ready, set, go set of symbols. When you see them at the right spot at the right time, that's when you take your trade. And I'll talk a little bit about how I trade this, where I put my stops and targets. But it's a flexible system. You can scalp, or you can wait for these big runs, these big banger trades, as Sean calls them. And that's what we absolutely can look for and see them every single day on any number of different instruments. So here are the key features. The indicator itself is going to predict where you're going to get the biggest moves. When it is outside of these bands, that's when we see the biggest moves, okay? That corresponds with when the institutions have run price all the way down, made those big liquidity sweeps just before they're ready to turn things around and come in with big buying or big selling movement and momentum. That's what we're looking for over and over again. One of the best things about this is you're trading it manually, okay? And we have a super high win rate for those discretionary trades. And these are the highest value areas, okay? You're not going to take every signal above or below the bars. You're going to wait for a combination of where price is located with relationship to these super bands. They may look simple, but the chart takes several minutes to load because, like I said, it's doing a lot of complex computations to predict this band around different price. And you can see the two sets of bars right here on the chart that I'll go into in a little bit more detail. And as I mentioned, you can do this, you can scalp these, or you can take these trades and watch them as the market unfolds over the course of a few minutes, an hour, or even a couple of hours for the biggest trades. You can use them on any instrument. I'm going to show a variety of different instruments in a bit and show you how nicely this looks on any one of them. So one of the most important things that we know is, as retail traders, we can't compete with the banks. All we want to do is try to find out where they're trading. And for me, I'm happy to follow the leader, okay? The institutions, the portfolio managers, the hedge funds, we know that they trade in huge quantities, and that's what drives price, okay? The market can't see your charts. It doesn't see your EMAs. It doesn't see your trade setups. It doesn't know that you have oscillators up the wazoo on your charts. I don't care about any of those things. The only thing that moves price is buying and selling, and that's what we want to watch and look at and watch the movement of it, the momentum of it, in order to predict the trades. In fact, those institutions, the banks and the funds, if you include Forex, they trade so much every day that people don't really have an appreciation for it. It's over $6 trillion, up to $8 trillion on some days, if you add all of the markets together. That does not encounter any of the retail traders, okay? That's who we want to follow, okay? Those high volume trades, that's what establishes liquidity, and that's what's dramatically going to move price for these big reversals. That's what we're looking to grab. Now, sometimes I grab those easily. Sometimes it reverses down, but if you put your stop in the right place, you might take a couple of smaller trades. You just hold out for the big ones, and you've had a hugely successful day. We know that extreme price action leads to those big reversals. And as I said before, I just want to follow the leaders to catch these big parabolic moves and even continuation moves. I don't know any other package of indicators, even though they may look somewhat similar, even though sometimes signals can be drawn to look like other ones. I don't know, and I've tried all of the different indicators and packages. I don't know any other indicator or system that duplicates what we do. Now, a little bit about parabolic price action. This is what I am looking for those bigger trades all the time. I want to be able to see when price gets up here and know if it's going to make this big move down here. Okay. I need to have a signal at the right spot, and that's what our indicator and package gives you. Okay. Price action we know is controlled by that significant buying and selling of the market movers. Because they have the greatest buying and selling, the sheer volume of those trades is gonna move it to extremes. But you need to have something on your chart to show you when you're getting to those extremes. Just because price is going up or price is going down, you won't know that it's at an extreme until after the fact and after the reversal. That's where the super bands come in, and it puts those clear bands on the chart. That's what we do that no one else does, to show you when you're approaching that extreme. Because when price reaches those extremes, that's when the big institutions initiate their profit taking. So let us go ahead. Let me show you. Here is what price looks like. Imagine not having these super bands here. You might not know that price was at the extreme, okay? It works on any of the different instruments. I trade it on NQ or ES, actually on the micros. You do not have to commit to the minis at all. I trade 3 micros on this, and if we look for several hundred ticks, that's a fantastic trade with very little risk. The commodities work great. In fact, gold has been my favorite on this until today, when crude did a great move that I'll show you in a little bit. But that works great as well. The currency futures work. All of the Forex pairs work. These indicators show you the movement that the institutions are trading, and the institutions trade all of this. So let us move this over. Take a look how our parabolic move right on price, if you have this extreme, is just what we're looking for. This is what's meaningful. When price moves outside of the super bands, above or below, that's when my ears perk up. I'm waiting to hear our alerts come in for our signals, and I'll show you what those signals look like. And we even have sound files and alerts built in so that it makes it clear when to go, when to get in, and when to go. Here is the NQ chart, I believe. And as you can see, price pulled to the outside. Here's our first signal. These triangles that tell you we've got enough of an excursion outside of the super bands. Then our line signal is our second signal, and here's our entry signal, the square momentum signal. And I just say that get ready, get set, and go when you see the momentum signal. Same thing on this side. You could have ridden this all the way up, and then as it rolled over, here's our ready, our set, and our go signal. Now, if you'll look at the charts, you can see I can see where price is at any instant, because the Renko bars behind are the actual price. And if anyone has used Heikin Ashi bars, you know that the bars are computed to show you the trend of the market in a very easy and effective way to visualize it. So as long as the Heikin Ashi bars continue the same color moving up, the trend is still going long. As soon as this body starts to get reduced and thin out, once we see a turnaround and a switch in color, it's the beginning of the move back down to the other side. So you can trail this in a number of ways, behind the bands, behind the bars. But as you see, when the color changes, that can be your first indication that the move is over and you can get out. Nobody else uses this combination of dual bars and extremes of the market to pinpoint those areas where the institutions are running the price up in this case, and then running them right back down, okay? So here is a sample trade that I took. As soon as we got in, here's our ready, our set, and our go right over here. It's a little bit hidden. You enter when the bar closes and the signal remains, okay? Just like order flow signals, sometimes it comes and goes. If the momentum does not stay consistent, then that signal is going to disappear, so you would not get in. So in this case, I got in right at the bottom of the bar. I personally take one off. I'm a pretty conservative trader when it gets to the midline, because sometimes it's just a reversion to the midline. In this case, we've got a turn down in the trend, so clearly it was going to move down. But I would take one off here, and then I trailed this one all the way down, following behind the inner bands as well. You could also follow and put your stop right above the recent swing highs over here, and then over here, and then over here, and so on. And as soon as it comes down and changes color and starts to swing back up, I'm out for this huge move down. And if you look carefully, it came down so far that we had an excursion on the bottom on this side, and there's even a signal setting up over here, okay? So only our proprietary bands and super bands, nobody else has the coding and the computation that we do, gives you these high probability excursion turnaround reversal areas, okay? You have to look for and they're easy to see, these deep excursions. You do have the ability to change the settings on the super band. So if I look at a chart, because volatility changes from day to day sometimes on different instruments, if I look at a chart and I'm barely getting anything moving outside, I'm going to tighten the bands up and move those numbers down a little bit, or I'm going to expand them. If I get too many excursions outside, I don't want to see that either. So the bars are fully adjustable. Okay, so as I said, we're going to identify where institutions have driven price and are enter the position. And then, as I said earlier, we keep it simple. Everybody that's in my room, you know that I trade in a very simple visual desktops. And here, that's all we're looking for. 3 signals, ready, set, and that square momentum signal is your go signal. You can change the colors to match that. You can put them above or below. It's fully customizable. I like the way this is set up. I've used these for a long time. I don't like too many colors on the charts. I like to keep things simple. Now, and additionally, you can see on this chart, there are also these little blue dots. That's a scalping strategy that some of you can take a look at and decide whether or not you want to use as well. You can turn those on or turn those off, but that's an additional feature of the indicators, okay? So why use the system at all? It's the only system that follows where the banks and the institutions trade price to, and absolutely shows you where they're taking huge trades at high momentum for those reversals. Why do we want to follow them? They're the smart money, okay? If you think that you're going to match the kind of sophisticated programming that they use or their trade rules that they follow, which you're not aware of, good luck. We just want to have a tool that allows us to see what they're doing on the charts. And this is the only set of tools that I know that does that. It gives you the ability to spot those easy reversals, but only with our indicators, using those ready, set, and go signals. And when you're starting out, you can trade conservatively like I do, okay? It's just not my style to only hold on for those big trades, okay? I'm very happy with getting a win after win after win. And for me, if 20, 25, 30, 40% have runners and go all the way down, that adds to it. And that's all that I look for. But you can establish your own strategy. You can by the way, you can also adjust the indicator to see more or fewer of those square momentum signals and choose what works best for you. You may want to see more signals and take quicker scalps and take multiple trades. Experiment with it. There's no single set of rules that works for all traders. So let's take a look in a little bit more detail about the signals and the way the chart's set up. Here you can see the chart with no signals on it, okay? Same chart down here with the signals. And if you take a look and follow the price, here's a nice signal that is giving you the ready, set, go for this huge move back down, okay? You could have gotten out at any time during that, okay? And if you waited and took this signal over here, okay, or rather, if you watched price move down to here, okay, without the signals, you might have chosen to get in right over here, and then you would have been stopped out. But here, there was no signal to go long, okay? It told you that the chart told you it was still going short. You could have looked over here and seen ready, set, no go signal. There wasn't enough momentum to drive price up yet, okay? It looks like it was getting ready to reverse, but it didn't happen, okay? Clearly, it could have gone down much further. Next time it hit the outside of the super bands, we finally got our long signal, and that is what predicted the huge move up. Okay, you can't find these on any other charting and strategy trading system. So we're seeing the bigger time frame price projection with our super bands, and the computational models that are built into the indicators is what is recognizing the momentum moves and watching the movement in both of those bands simultaneously. Okay, so in a little bit more detail, here is what we are seeing on the charts. The gray, and you can set these up any way you like. If you don't want to look at the Renko price bars behind, you can make those transparent. You can turn those into lines. You can keep them as regular Renko candle bars. But our custom Renko bars are on the chart. And then we use the built-in Heikin Ashi bars that are in Tickblaze already. And the indicator knows how to plot them. You do not have to put them on the chart. All you need to do is open the desktop that we provide or create your own charts. Okay. We also, as I said, use the Heikin Ashi bars because the characteristic of Heikin Ashi bars is that at a glance, it shows you whether the market is trending or not, and if it's in a longer or shorter term trend. And I use these every time I trade with this system because that color change often gives me the ability to either use my targets and get out, or maybe follow those for a runner with a stop. Okay, easy way to visualize early reversals and use them as a tool for your stops. So the signals, they're generated when the price action conditions are met in relation to the bands and the super bands. Okay, the models and the computation that's built into the indicators looks at trend state. It looks at where price comes in at the open and the close of the previous bar, the open of the next bar, the close of that bar. There is a whole list of what it's looking at on every single tick, on every single bar. Okay, so it definitely needed fine tuning and improvement over the years. And as I said, this is now, we're going into the 5th generation when it's on Tickblaze. So it's been tested and improved over and over and over again with each improvement in the kind of platform that we're using. Now, it's important to realize while it may be simple to look at, these bands might look like simple support and resistance, but they're really not. Okay, it's a prediction of price movement. But if you want to think of them as support and resistance in their positioning, then it at least it kind of gives you an idea of trade direction. So that's okay. They're highly accurate for these reversals. And as I said, you may only get a reversion to the mean, like over here. After this big move up, we had a move down, and price is moving back up. Okay, I would wait for a signal at the mean here to get back in for a continuation trade. Same as we look at it down here. As price moves down, we wait for the move out, and then we might get another continuation down here. So I would not necessarily get in on a long here with this clear downtrend. I might wait for price to get up here or a continuation signal at the midline. Okay.
If I can, Jeff, I'm going to speak
Yep.
here for a second because
Sure. Absolutely.
when I had these on the charts, the slope of the bands was critical for me. And when I started realizing that slope is basically your trend detection, like, when you use a lot of indicators or EMAs and stuff, a lot of times they're lagging, but slope is pretty much like drawing trend lines, right? So when you look at the slope, it would always tell me which direction I want to be trading. And I couldn't find a losing trade when I was on the NASDAQ and when I was on crude oil and gold, when I was looking at the workspace we built and the desktops. Like every time I just traded in the direction of the slope and I seen one of those orange little boxes, like that was a killer trade and it just cranked. And it took very little heat. What I loved about it is like very little heat. And it was just, I think it's just a combination of just location and the way the bars are smoothing out price. There's not too many systems that can do what this does. Like it was like, and I've built a lot of software. This is pretty stellar.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that comes from, I mean, that's really appreciate it because that's coming from someone who has been a software builder for a long time, okay, more than a decade. If you're patient and you don't jump into these signals, if you wait for them to go to the extremes, you get very little heat. Exactly right, Sean. So these dramatic pullbacks and the reversals, that's what we're looking to achieve and take the trades on. And we do that over and over again. Now, one of the best things for me is that in addition to having a good place to take a trade, I like to see confluence on my trades for entries as well as exits, okay? So I actually use these on Tickblaze with the additional important levels that I can only get on Tickblaze, okay? The striker levels, the daily levels. I look at VWAP as well as the specialized levels like the golden fib and the 3-bar pattern. If you add those to the chart, that is going to give you an additional opportunity to say, this one is killer. Look at this. So we got a turnaround right at striker, and it's going to move up to the next. So that is what we're absolutely looking for. So just to go back again, there are only 3 primary signals, and you're looking to see all of them to take a trade, okay? We're tracking that precision, and very importantly, if you look back historically at your charts, these signals do not repaint. Anybody that tries to find indicators like these on some of the other platforms that try to mimic it, the signals move with the chart. Our signals do not repaint at all. It is important to wait for the bar to close to take the signal because they can come and go. They really are dynamic signals. And what we're looking for is the triangle above or the triangle below as a setup for things might be setting up for you. The line signal, that's our set, and the momentum signal to go with the trade. Really easy to spot over and over again. Here's an easy trade. Here's our signal. Bar close. We got in right over here. I got out kind of conservatively at the midline just in case. This is kind of turning up and kind of an upward slope, but not a really strong one. But in fact, it did play out, and we went all the way up here. And I'm going to trail it right up until the reversal of the Heikin Ashi bar right here. So I got out over here, and that's a perfect and terrific trade, okay? You're going to wait to see an excursion outside of the bands, about 5 to 10%, and you're going to adjust the bands so that you get those excursions. And you might not need to adjust bands for several days or at all, but there's no harm in checking to see if you go up or down a little bit in the band settings. So we have our ready, our set, and our go signals. I want to get to our live trades and show you them in a minute. But most importantly, I always enter with multiple targets. Like I said, my trading style is to take some money off the table and then look for a second or a third target, and then I follow a runner. But you can put those second or third targets at any place you choose, particularly striker levels or any of the other significant levels that are on the charts. Okay, like I said, we are great on all of the different instruments or currencies. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, this is the desktop that if you join and purchase, you'll get a copy of my desktop. And the way I have it set up is to show these 4 instruments, but you're welcome to take a look at it on any number of instruments that you want, okay? And I'll show it to you. Here is my live chart, and this was from earlier today. Same setup. I've got the MNQ, the gold over here, ES, and CL, okay? Just at a glance, all right? Those were not snapshots that I took of perfect trades. This is live. Here's 10 o'clock this morning. Nice excursion outside here. Got it right down to the midline, came back up. But if you got back in over here, you rode this all the way down. And my stop would have been above the swing high over here. So I wouldn't have been stopped out here if we came back up. But my tendency is to take a first target, okay? Great, fantastic trade. For anybody that was trading this morning, you know that we had a huge price drop right over here, okay? So if you were fast, this ran fast, you were able to catch this move really easily. Look at gold. Gold has been one of my favorites, okay? This was easy to catch. Outside over here, ready, set, go, ran it all the way down. Take it the other direction. Ready, set, go, all the way back up, okay? Look at crude today. This was after 10 o'clock. We finally had a move down here. Crude was relatively flat after the pre-market, and you just rode this all the way up. You could have trailed it right below the green inner bands and just taken it out after these big moves up.
Look at the signals, guys. Like just look at crude for a second. Look at the bottom and look at the slope. As soon as the slope started to angle up, take that orange signal down at the bottom, not the first one. The bands were still flat, but the second one at the bottom there, it just crushed it. You could have rode the entire move. Take a look at MGC. Even though it's a flat band, you could do mean reversion. If you look at the two signals on the bottom, you take no heat. No heat on these trades. This is what I'm talking about, guys. It's an incredible system. The bands are the areas of interest, but the way that the price bars work for smoothing, it's a clean trade, guys. Like I'm telling you, this is going to help you guys with your entries. It's going to help you with taking very little heat. And
And kudos,
out of all the vendors in the industry, Jeff is the only person I've allowed to let him bring his strategies into the trade room. We don't allow that for other vendors because it's a conflict of interest for our marketplace. But Jeffrey's a part of our team and we work with them and he's bringing the software. So he'll be bringing this in. Now, it's not included in the ATS and it's not part of the Tickblaze marketplace, but I've allowed him to at least showcase this in the room. So if you are in the trade room, or if you're in the marketplace, or if you buy the strategy, or if you buy the ATS program, just note that he will be allowed to cover this periodically in the trading room so that those of you that would like to see this, I've given you guys permission to do this. I want you guys to benefit from this.
and that is much appreciated. And from time to time, I'll show the desktop or answer an occasional question. But by all means, we focus on the core of the Alpha Trading Syndicate. And I was going to say a second ago, kudos to the head of programming. He actually added in a completely second smoothing feature to this indicator that was not on any previous version. So it is better on Tickblaze than on any of the other financial trading platforms with a second. And you'll see it in the indicator itself. There's a completely second smoothing that you can turn on or off, and having them both on is critical. So let's take a look. Here is NQ again, outside excursion, move it down. And let's play a live trade on this. So as you can see, I entered long right over here. I'm going to move my first target right around midline. Huge move down. So this really could be a short. So I'm going to be kind of conservative, but it might be the reversal point as well. Okay, we all know it's impossible to catch those reversal points, but sometimes you do. Okay, so here I got my first target. I'm going to move to break even just like that because that's my tendency. That's my trading style. And now when we get a turnaround here, here's the beginning of the possible continuation short. So we got a little bit of a move, counter trend, and let's see whether or not it continues on. Kept going. So now I'm going to keep trailing it. I'm going to push my runner right underneath a couple of these Heikin Ashi bars back, because I know that trend is going to continue back down as soon as we break and change Heikin Ashi direction and color. So I'll give it a couple of bars to do that, but that's where I'm going to put my trailing stop behind. You can trail behind the inner band. You can tighten these up also and get a tighter stop as well. But in this particular case, it turned out that it was a huge reversal, okay? You had no way of knowing that at this point when it was really looking pretty flat, and we were able to catch that because the indicator recognized the momentum of the shift in price and the direction right over here. No other signals in between. There was just one signal to go long over here, and we captured that huge move back up. And now as we get over here, we see the beginning of the move coming down. Okay, we've gone outside of the bar for a long period of time. We saw a set signal start, and then it disappeared. Now here's another one. I'm going to get out at this point when we have that signal, and we ultimately are going to look for this to continue back down. Okay, so price moves up, price moves down. We're going to take it. In this case, maybe the continuation trade. It's up to you. I would not overtrade and try to take every signal single. You'll get a familiarity with it once you start using it. Okay, here it is on Another, oh no, sorry. There we go. Here it is on the gold chart. Okay. Great signal right over here to take the long to the excursion. As soon as we got a Heikin Ashi bar change, we got out and right back in for the short all the way down to the other side. There are two targets here. You could put three targets, however you set things up. Here's the gold trade live. So we entered right over here. Here is our signal entry, and I put my first target right here at the midline. And then as we started to ride it up, okay, you can see it's one of the problems with Renko bars, as many of you know, sometimes they can go really, really fast. So we are not having any difficulty capturing these trades, okay? The size of the Renko bars that we choose is perfectly manageable. If price is running, an occasional trade may run away from you, but look how easy it is to stay in this one, okay? Got my first target all the way up at the other side of the super band in this case. So we took it from here all the way up, turning around over here. I'm still at break even for my stop. And there is a continuation trade right here. So I'm going to move my stop up right to there and start to trail it and see whether or not we can get outside of the bands. And sure enough, we had a nice move up, another great trade. And now here's our turnaround. Okay, I got out right over here when it came down, and that's the end of that one. Okay, here it is on the S&P. Okay, great entry right over here. Probably needed to tighten the bands up a little bit here, but if you're taking signals down at the ends or the extremes of the bands, I would tighten those bands up to show the excursions. That's a better way of trading. Okay, here we have about 100 ticks on the ES. On currency futures, you can see the exact same. Now, very different size Renko bars, smaller bars, only a 9 brick on these, where I was using a 37 on the NQ. Absolutely has to do with the volatility. That's really, really important. Huge moves up, swings back down again and again. Now, one of the things that sometimes I like to do is also look at the EMAs on an adjacent chart. So this makes use of our MTF filter. And here you can see I've got my shorter and higher time frame EMAs to see whether or not I'm looking for longs. So just like Sean was mentioning before, watching the slope of the EMAs or putting it and visualizing it right on another chart below is an option that you can take. Huge move up, and this is on Forex, okay? Here's the euro dollar, okay? Came down to the extreme, ran it right back up, and this was a slower trade. You had all afternoon, a couple of hours to watch this trade develop and work out, okay? So for those of you that are already familiar with Forex and currency trading, that's how I started with this system. It's an absolute winner on it. Trade results for my trading after taking these daily for week after week, the system is so easy to use that you'll get regular positive results over and over and over again. It takes practice sometimes not to overtrade. You don't want to take these unless they're at the extremes. Remember, we're looking for these big parabolic moves from the top to the bottom and vice versa. Okay, so let us, before I go into the details, who would like to get a free license? Okay, we are giving away, the offer today is going to be for the indicator set, for a license, for a one-time purchase. There is a yearly maintenance fee. So, and that is $149 through our website. So in order to continue using it year after year, you do have to maintain that. And any upgrades that we make will obviously always be included. So let me go ahead and grab my link. And let me see. Brian says he's due. No, Brian. Joe says it's his turn. Here is, let me post it to everyone. Okay, that is the link that we always use to get a free license. And as far as the question goes about automating this, I would love to be able to have an algo on this. We are still a little bit away from being able to get programming to be able to work on developing third-party algos, Sean, but I know you've said that that's coming. So as soon as that's available, we absolutely will work on doing that as well. I'm going to pull the link up and see who won a free license. And I see a couple of questions there. Let's see. Mark was asking about using the bar close marker with the Algo IQ. I have not tried using it with the Algo IQ bars. It may not be coded for
It'll
our
bar
bars are different.
yeah. So just answer that. Like the bar close marker, it will always work on bars where the candles open, high, low, close are fixed. If the bars are variable range or they could be different size, the bar close market cannot dictate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it works with the Renko BXT, which is the Tickblaze Renko bar, but our Renko bar is slightly different. It's a custom coded Renko bar. And yes, Justin, this is only for the desktop version of Tickblaze. Let me see how many people have entered, and we'll get a winner. Let's see. Hold on, it's coming up. Okay, we've got about 75% of the people in here. We got a lot of people here have requested. We'll give you another few seconds to request, and then I'm going to choose a winner.
And I've got really good news for everybody, but if you don't know yet, Tickblaze is getting ready to release the mobile app for Tickblaze, and
Whoa.
we're the first app in the industry that's got trade copiers built in it. It's you can literally be you could be doing anything you want with your phone and be trading for prop firms with our mobile app. First in the world. It's crazy. We're pushing the limits everywhere.
We've been like first in the world on a bunch of stuff.
Well,
I mean,
we don't need to be the biggest, but we could definitely be the best.
no question. So let me tell you about the pricing now, and then I'll set to let you know who is the winner. So a one-time purchase for the entire Algo IQ momentum trading system gives you all of the indicators as well as the custom Renko bars for $14.95. We're taking 500 off today, so it's only $9.95 till tomorrow. You need to use this code to be able to get in there. And then here is the link. Let me paste it in here, right into the chat box, so that you don't have to copy all of that gobbledygook that's down here, but that's the link to get to our web page, okay? And what you get with this is in our members area on the website, there's going to be a spot where you download the indicators. I've got custom sound files for alerts, user guide, the desktop, as well as, let's see what else. We've got a Discord as well that a lot of traders that are using this and the other system share a lot of their experience with, and our growing YouTube channel as well. So we really are supporting this extensively. And the most important thing is on the member area, there are tons of trading videos and educational videos. Okay. So here's what the website looks like. Hold on. Let us. All right. If you go to that spot, you'll get right here. And that is going to be the purchase link right over here. Don't forget to use the promo code, and that gives you the special pricing. So we've got a few minutes, and as I said, reminder, remember there's a annual license fee to maintain things. The way it works is we are going to be processing everything as the webinar ends. So it'll take a little while. If you make a purchase, you're going to look for a welcome email. On Tickblaze, you do not need to submit any kind of information. Just make sure that you're using the same email that you log into Tickblaze with. And Tickblaze is smart enough to recognize the fingerprint for licensing for us. And then you'll get an email with directions and your unique license number. When you import the indicators, you're going to download them just the same way you download anything from the Tickblaze marketplace. Import it the same way, download and import the desktop the same way. And the first time you load Tickblaze, Algo IQ into Tickblaze, it will ask you for the license number. You only have to put it in once, and it will work across both indicators as well as the Algo IQ. All right, now let's see. We have the winner is Alan Zerborg. Alan, how you? I recognize the name. I've been with you. So is Alan here? Okay, Alan, you get a full license for the indicator set, and we will set that up for you. And Steve will reach out by email with all of the information as well. All righty. Any questions, guys? Like I said, I think you can tell my enthusiasm. This has been a long time in the making. For me, good things are worth waiting for. So I never tried to push this to be completed before it was ready. We went through multiple programmers until we found and got the ability to use the best programmer on the planet for Tickblaze. Okay, thank you, Sean. And because of that, it really is terrific. Great, thank you so much, Edward. Great, Herbert. Thank you. Yeah, for someone that asked, we will license 2 machines for you. Okay. And with Tickblaze, remember, you can only be with your Tickblaze data feed on one at a time. So if you're using 2 machines, be careful. You would probably need to use 2 separate data, but you can switch from a laptop to a desktop with no problem. Ed, yeah, thank you for participating previously. You would want to take advantage of this launch price. There'll be discounts for combos, but never as deeply as the discount today for the one-time purchase. If anybody was ever on some of the older subscription models, we were asked over and over and over again, can we have a one-time purchase? So we absolutely wanted to do that. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Mark. Robert, my pleasure. As I said, my enthusiasm is hard to contain. So, Gord, you can look for information about the Ninja program right on the website. We are really enthusiastic about the Tickblaze version, but yes, there is an older version on that works on Ninja. But for me, I've stopped using that completely. I only use the Tickblaze version. But if you're looking for automatic, there are strategies there. No, Edward, there's not going to be an AMA. If you purchase, I would absolutely look at all of the training that's on the website. There's extensive training there. Of course, I'm available by email for any individual questions, but we're not going to do a separate AMA as this is not a Tickblaze marketplace product. It's completely outside the Tickblaze marketplace. And as Sean mentioned before, not a part of the ATS, the Alpha Syndicate program. Thank you, John. My pleasure. Thumbs up from Mark J. My pleasure. Thank you, Brian. Daniel, thanks. Steve, the purpose of the Renko bars, as this developed over the years, the combination of the movement of price on Renko bars and Heikin bars at the same time is what is looked at for computing the momentum movement. Okay, so you can try putting it on a chart without the Renko bars, but you will not see the same kind of results. Anthony, my pleasure. Thank you.
This software prints money, man. Like I don't care
Oh
who
my
you
God.
are or what.
Thank
I
you.
don't I don't care what you say or where you are or what the hang up is. You put this on your chart, you look at the orange boxes, and you're gonna make a shitload of money with this software. Like that, I get it takes a lot to get me moving and grooving. I've been building apps for 10 years, guys. There's no one in the game that's built more signals or indicators than me. And this stuff gets me excited. And I'm excited to see him put it in the ATS because you guys deserve to have this in there. And I don't know, man. I'm just kudos to you guys for building something great. I know our programmers helped you get it finished, and it was our guys that coded it, but you guys came up with the architecture and all that, and it was just great job, guys. I'm super pumped to see you guys do this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're excited too.
Maddie, touche, Maddie, touche, brother. Appreciate the love, Maddie.
Okay, we'll take a look. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to info@proptradingindicators.com. You can also email me directly, just Jeffrey@Tickblaze. But I thank all of you for coming today. It really was a pleasure to present this. One of the things that excites me are great and easy to present indicators and strategies. And that absolutely was something that I wanted to be able to do with this. My sincerest thanks to Sean for letting us bring this over and partnering up because it's a great team, okay? I think everybody brings a lot to the table, and I am, for one, very thankful and fortunate to have joined a couple of years ago. So it's been great all around and getting better all the time. I don't know where Sean gets the energy to do all of the additional things he constantly does, but he does.
Wouldn't be here without every one of you guys. It's our people that give us the foundation to be here. So thanks to every one of you guys.
Thanks so much. All right, guys. Thanks so much for attending. Great to see you. Let's see. Brian is looking for the code again. I'm glad I caught that before. Right here, AIQ TB launch. That's your code. Okay. Thanks again, guys. We will see you in the trade room, and thanks again for attending.
Take care, traders.